response time that we have, we talked about that, is 9 minutes. Y'all know how long 9 minutes is?
Yeah.
And you're waiting on this a really, really long time. It's 11 minutes for non-emergency. That means if we're not running lights and sirens, we're 2 minutes slower. But it's still faster than the ambulance. So we still get there quicker than the ambulance. The problem is that we need to grow with the community. Now we have really low crime rate, but where's most of the growth happening? In the unincorporated areas of what we say is a rural community. It's not rural anymore, it's suburban. But we still have rural police force. Does that make sense? And we need to grow with it. Now, everything's good right now, so I'm not telling you the house is on fire. I am telling you the smoke detector's going off. Does that make sense? And that we've got to get some wheels up under this. We have one deputy covering 20,000 residents at night in a zone of 140 square miles. If you're in town, you have one officer covering 2,500 residents at night. So our deputies are doing about 10 times the amount of work, or 10 times the amount of coverage. The good thing is we just don't have crime. Does that make sense? So there is a need for that. Our student resource officers, we don't call them school resource officers, we call them student resource officers because we want to be a resource for the student. We have 11. A lot of people think that's a lot, but there's 24 schools. You know, do the math. I went to Northwood. I have trouble with math sometimes. That ain't enough. Does that make sense? So what we do is we put an SRO in the high schools, the true high schools, and the true middle schools, and then we split them between the K through 8s. So that we could use some more student resource officers, but I definitely need more deputies on the road. So we need to keep up, and we need to catch up. That is something I'm working with the commissioners on, but it is something that at some point is going to become a crisis point. We are growing, but we're not growing at the same rate that the county's growing. Does that make sense? One thing that I'm very, very proud is, have everybody heard of CALEA? Accreditation for law enforcement. It's a nationwide accreditation. We went through that. That is very tough, as we've done it for a year and a half. It's about getting our policies up, our training up, and making sure we're doing what we say we're going to do. So if it says we're going to do A, we've got to have a proof to show that we did A. And this is about accountability to the community to make sure that we're doing what we say we're going to do. We're not actually CALEA accredited. We're going to get that in March, but I just got the letter back that we have no deficiencies on our first application, which is almost unheard of when new agencies go through. Chris Cooper is a captain of ours. He and 2 other people have worked on that for a year and a half. I'm very proud of that. So I'm very, very proud. We also have body cameras on all of our staff, all our detention, all our deputies. Everybody in the office has a body camera, so if you interact with an officer in official capacity, it's going to be recorded. Why do we do that? Accountability. For who? For the deputy and you. You know what's happened? The best use of that is that our inmates act better. Because all of that video can be shown to the judge. Does that make sense? On sentencing. Our complaints have dropped dramatically, and it's a good training tool that when Mike goes out there and I don't do it quite right, the chief can say, hey Mike, maybe you should do this next time. We're going to train you to do this way. We may find things that we're training wrong, and we need to improve our training as well. Safe environments sell houses. Safe environments are good for business. We understand that, and we want to be a partner for you. We also have jobs. Anybody want a job? We have jobs in detention. We have some in deputy. We'll pay you to go to school to be a deputy or a detention officer. We even have some with animal resources. We have volunteer positions if you want to be a part of that. A lot of the retirement community, we're going after them for volunteers to see if they can help us in some of those areas. So if you have somebody who wants a job, let me know. Those applications are on that same app. We believe in supporting local events. If you have an event coming up and you want us to help you with, please let us know. Sometimes it might be a bike race that you're running, raising money for. We do have 2 different types of way we help you. One is pay and one is free. And here's the difference. If you expect law enforcement service, it's pay. If you just want us there to be with you, then it's non-pay. Does that make sense? So if we go to a church because they're having a bazaar and we're setting up and handing out stickers, that's non-pay. You want me to direct traffic, for the bikes coming out in the road, that's a paid situation. But we have one person that helps divide those up for us. But we do want to be part of that because we want to make sure all these events are safe. Public confidence is very important to us as well. We hold one another accountable. That means the chief has the right to call me out if I'm wrong. Every employee does the same thing. We investigate all inquiries. If you have ever a bad encounter with any of our staff, let us know. We don't call it a complaint, we call it inquiry. Because it might just be a question. I don't really know why he did that. Okay, well, let's look at it and see what he did and why he did it. And we look at every one of those, both internal and external, even anonymous. Only problem with anonymous is I can't call you back. So you don't really know if I did anything or not. So if you want to make an anonymous complaint, we'll take it, but just understand it's hard to get information back to you about what that is. We also accept accommodations too. So if somebody did something really good, you can do that on that app as well and say, I really like what this officer did. The big plug here I want to do is called this, I want to encourage you to sign up for our STAR Academy. That's Sheriff's Training Academy for residents. A lot of people move here, don't know what a sheriff does. That STAR Academy is a 7-week program, 1 night a week for 3 hours a night, and we let you do what we do. What that means is everything I can legally let you do, what we do, we let you do. So you get to ride with a deputy. You get to sit in a car. You get to go into the command bus. We're going to give you a tour of all the facilities. You get to walk into jail. You get to eat jail food. It ain't as good as the food back here, but it's not terrible. But we want you to experience it because it's not like TV. And I'm not going to tell you TV is wrong. I'm going to tell you it doesn't happen at that rate. Or it doesn't happen the way that they say that it happens. And I want you to experience it because I can tell you that, but until you come do it, it's a little more memorable when you ride with the deputy. We have a STAR graduate right here.
I'd like to just say, if anyone has it, I was in the first, my wife and I were in the first class that they offered. And if you want to experience something and seeing what the sheriff said, a lot of what goes on in the world and in their world is a misconception, I'd say. You think something, you know something, you heard something, it's not. Until you experience, and then the other side of it is that you can't have the respect for his position, the deputy's position, until you go through and do it. And the last thing is that when you're done, when you start walking around the community, I just have to say both the sheriff and Sharon, is that you become family. Steve, I'm just saying, everyone in the sheriff's department has become our family. And to say most places you don't get to do that after, like for me, living in 20 different communities my whole life and being military. So I just say thank you, Sheriff, for welcoming us into your family.
The thing about the STAR program, it is free. So there's no reason to not come to it other than giving up 3 hours for, really it's 6 nights. The 7th night is your graduation, and we give you a certificate. We go into the historic courthouse. It's pretty cool. Honor Guard comes in there. Pretty cool. So please apply on that too. You can apply online. Somebody will say when the next class is, whenever we get 25 people. So we've got a class going right now. If y'all sign up, we'll call you back. Hey, this is when we're thinking about doing the class. If for some reason you can't do it, we'll put you in the next class. Okay? The good about the county is one of the safest in the state. We're 13th safest out of the 100. About 10 of those fudged the numbers, I think, a little bit because they're coast and mountains and they're counting people who really don't live there. So what you do is you take the crime and you divide it by the number of residents per 100,000 residents, and that's where you get that rate. So Chatham and Moore County are like sister counties on the crime thing a little bit, and demographics. But we're 2 of the safest counties in the state. Beautiful lakes, rivers. We still have a rural feeling. We still love each other. We still wave at each other when you go down the road. That's some of the positive things that we have in Chatham County. We have great schools, successful kids, and I'm still amazed of how diverse the retirement community is here. When you start talking to people in the retirement community with their backgrounds, I can't think of of a type of job that's not in our communities. And so I want to have a resource where I can bring those in and help volunteer for that. And I think y'all know water and sewer is coming, so y'all know growth is fixing to explode, right? One thing about county government is it usually takes a 1.5 to 2 years to get what we need. So if we identify the need today, I can't ask for it from the committee. I can ask for it now, but the budget ain't until when? July. So I got to start asking now. I ask for it then. If I get it, then they tell me when I can hire. If I hire someone July 1st, it takes about 9 months. If I can start the class on July 1st, most of the time you can't. I got to wait till class. It takes 9 months to get that officer in a patrol car. Then it takes another 3 months to train them on their own. We call it field training. So it takes a year from hiring to get them turned loose. Does that make sense? So when we identify a need and we say, yes, Mike, you have the need, it's still a year, year and a half before I actually get what I asked for. I say that because we're always behind, even if we're caught up. Does that make sense? And so we're behind now. We're about 40 deputies short of where we should be if we were average. 40. I can't hire 40 people at one time. Now, that's not 40 short that we have openings. I'm saying we need 40 more positions to be average of how many people are moving here. The good thing, the people moving here aren't bringing crime with them. Does that make sense? We're not having the crime with them, and it makes the stats look better. What's going up is service, the 911 calls, the hang-ups, the check on well-beings, the things that aren't really crime, but somebody needs to go do it. Does that make sense? So I think we do a really good job. I'm really proud of our staff. You have, honestly, the best sheriff's office in the state of North Carolina. I'm not saying it because I'm the sheriff. I'm saying it because I've been to a lot of other sheriff's offices, and there's not one I would trade with. You know what I mean? You see a little shiny thing at one, you're like, ooh, I like that. And you look at it like, ooh, no, I'm pretty good with what we got. You should be proud of the staff, and I think when you do the ride-along that he was talking about, you're going to be proud of the people you ride with, because we don't pick the people you ride with. It's whoever's working that zone is who you ride with. So you're going to get the real deal from who's in the car. You get to ask them the real questions. The sheriff said this, but what is it really like? You'll get to ask them those questions, okay? That's all I've got as far as information. I do have some maps up here about how busy it is. Sorry, I don't have a pretty board to put it on. These are the service calls for the last 10 months. And there's so many in those blemished areas that they stack on top of each other. Y'all notice anything?
Yeah, we're sitting in a crime center.
Yeah, it's not necessarily crime. These are calls for service. These are calls that we get. Does that make sense? So we're helping Siler City out a lot. We're helping Pittsburgh out some. What do y'all see up here in the northeast corner?
A need for another substation.
I need a substation. It's on the CIP. I need a substation. It is Briar Chapel. It's not just Briar Chapel. It's Cole Park, Briar Chapel, Farrington, Governor's Club. All that cluster up there is like a town. There's like 8,000 people. Is that right in Briar Chapel? That's bigger than Siler City. Siler City don't have the 7,500. You know how many deputies we have in Briar Chapel assigned just to Briar Chapel? Starts with a Z. Zeros. Here's something that you've heard us talk about since we took over animal shelter. Look how many animal calls we get. Told y'all we pick up more animals than people. And I know y'all been hearing me scream, I need help in animal shelter. If you've been watching anything commissioners, you've been hearing me tell this. Not very effectively. This year we got the staffing that we should have got in 2019 with the building. So we should be getting better on this now. But that's a lot of animal calls.
Does that include wildlife or just?
We don't get, yes, it does include wildlife if we get called, but we don't get a lot of wildlife calls unless it's a rabies kind of incident. Most of these are dogs, cats, cows out. You know, the most dangerous things you can have is a black cow on the street at night. Yes, ma'am.
If a dead deer is on the side of the road in the median, who's responsible for picking that up?
Responsible for picking it up or moving it out of the roadway. So the difference is, I'm not trying to get technical about it. If it's in the roadway, call 911. We'll get somebody to drag it out of the road. But DOT is responsible for removing it. If it's a safety hazard, like you could hit it and someone could have a wreck, either the highway patrol or we will come out there and slide it out of the road, and then we'll call DOT, tell them to come pick it up. Yes, ma'am.
Sheriff, how can we help you get those 40 people?
I don't need 40 at one time because I really can't hire 40 at one time. I need a plan to hire a certain number a year for the next 4 years. Does that make sense? So I need a commitment that we're going to hire 10 deputies a year for the next 4 years to get caught up. And then I need to also hire whatever the growth is this year to keep up. Does that make sense? So if we explode in growth, I might need to hire 12 this year, 10 next year. And so it's a commissioner accountability. Now let me give them a little backstop right here. They also got to build schools. They also are, doing other projects. So it's a list of things that they have to accomplish as well. I'm just saying we can't just keep going on crime isn't a problem until crime is a problem. Once crime is a problem, I want to stay on the prevention. It's too late to catch it back up. Does that make sense? And I think it's one of the reasons people are moving here is because this is a beautiful place. It is a great place to live, and I want to make sure we keep that. Right back here.
Does 100% of your funds come from the county?
No, but 99% of it does come from the county. There are some federal funds that we get, but let me back up. Everything goes through the county. There are some federal money that come to the county, back through that to me.
That's a pass-through.
Yeah, so when you say the county, not all of it's taxpayer money, but 99% of it is taxpayer money. Yes, sir.
Is there a junior star program where you do anything for kids where they can come and hang out with you guys?
That is a beautiful question. And under where you sign up to be in the STAR class, there's a thing called Rising Star. We started one this past summer where we limited it to high school students. We do have, it's just like our STAR program, but we did change it a little bit. Like we don't really want a 16-year-old riding with a deputy by themselves, so we're grouping them together. We're not actually going to hot calls. We may be the second car coming in, so we change it a little bit, but it's a lot like the STAR program. And we're probably we ran that in the summer, we're probably going to keep that. We also run that a week at a time. So instead of being 1 day a week, we run that 5 days in a row to get it over with. Okay? That's a good question though. And it helps on recruiting too, because people get to see what it's about.
Any more questions?
Last thing I want to say, yes.
I just want to express gratitude to you because every time I've asked for your support, you have given it to me, to my programs, and always sent me wonderful food. And that was the case just this past Saturday at Horton Middle School for our distribution event. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I have to give the credit, a lot of that to our staff. If you hire people who like people, this is an easy job sometimes. You know what I mean? And it's a fulfilling job. And so I want to be able to hire people that want to do this job, that don't have to do this job. If you love this, if you love people, this is the best job. We get paid to help people. We get paid to do what you would do anyway if you could afford to do it. Does that make sense? It's a pretty cool gig. And it's a beautiful community. We don't see the national issues. Now, we're aware of them. We don't see the national issues here, but we're attentive to it. And what you said about sending you good people, if I have a bad one, they're not going to work here. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have to weed them out. My people weed them out. Does that make sense? Because they hold each other accountable. If they say it's not right, they either get right or they got to get gone. And we don't get gone of a lot of people because we have that critical mass of good people out there now. I will tell you this, one more fact I like to throw out there. 40% of my staff is female. And 42% of my supervisors are female. And we're not doing it because they're female, we're doing it because they're the best for the job, the best for the position. We may not be doing things like other offices are doing because of that. The female support has helped a lot with, honestly, this sounds like a joke and it's not. It's helped with the mental health of our male people because they're able to talk to females sometimes where they wouldn't tell another guy. It's helped with our multitasking. It's helped in a lot of areas. Cleanliness. It's helped with organization. But I'm very, very proud of that. And they're dispersed throughout the office. They work where they want to work at. And so very, very proud of that fact. Yes, sir.
I think Mike gets a lot of credit with the county commissioners and his department and our attorney general with what you do with the opioid crisis. A lot of people don't know about that, but you stepped up.
I appreciate that. That was the health director at the time was Lake Malone, and we had some deaths in 2013. So we started looking at this in 2013 and 2017. Lake Malone and I met with the county commissioners and some staff to get ahead of that because we forecast that coming, and we couldn't arrest our way out of it. That we had to get on the prevention end, and so we have been working on that a long time. Lake Malone deserves a lot of credit for that. Commissioners deserve a lot of credit for getting us the Narcan. I know we've saved over 130 lives with Narcan by itself. And that's actually our staff saving people's lives. So that's not counting the ones that we've given out. So I'm not trying to get off of the Narcan or the opioid issue. That's still an issue, but we're not growing anymore. It seems to be going down. And so I see the stats about a year and a half before they become public. And I'm just telling you that we're over the crest of that. And we're on the downslide of that. I hope it continues. We're going to keep working on that, but thank you for that. Yes, ma'am.
What percentage of your staff are Spanish speaking?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. We keep that stat. It's a lot, but I don't.
We have several.
So sounds like a joke. It's not. We had a gentleman deputy work with. It actually is a joke. We had a deputy working with us. His name was Jose Cruz. And if you could make a Hispanic magazine and put the best looking deputy that you could find, it would be Jose Cruz. Jose Cruz, I mean, just everything you could think of what a good looking guy would look like. He looked like, didn't speak a lick of Spanish. He's like, I don't know what to do. He's talking Spanish to me. I don't speak Spanish. I would say about 20% of our office probably speaks Spanish. A lot of them are in the jail speak Spanish. But we have a thing called language line. So no matter what language you have, we have a 3-way phone call. If you speak Chinese, then we'll pick up the phone. We go on this language line, and they'll translate for us there. To be honest with you, who translates the most for us when it's not a critical incident or a criminal issue are the kids. So you can't communicate with the parent, but he said, my daddy is saying, you know what I mean? Because we deal with those kids in school, they already trust us, and the kids are telling us what the problem is. Okay? Thank you. I appreciate you.